Whenever I come out here to San Francisco, I try to put my finger on the pulse of Silicon Valley. And few people have a better read on innovation in the tech industry than Chris Sacca. He's the venture capitalist behind Lowercase Capital, which owns a portfolio of more than 80 web, mobile, and wireless technology startups. Here's a guy who got in on the ground floor of Twitter, Uber, Instagram, Kickstarter. That's a pretty amazing track record, you got to admit. Now, yesterday, I got a chance to speak with Chris Sacca and get his take on what's happening in the tech world. Check it out. Chris, when I follow you on Twitter, I'm starting to think that even though you've made these multi-billion-dollar fortunes in lots of different situations that worked out, you seem more interested in the smaller ones that are in Shark Tank.
Well, look, Shark Tank brings me back to what made me passionate about this space in the first place. You know, as the dollars got bigger and bigger in some of these later stage companies, some that we've talked about before, there's a lot of politics, a lot of backstabbing. There's blood all over the walls, and that's not what got me into investing and got me into startups in the first place.
Now, those people who are on the show are every bit as real at one point as say, Travis at Uber?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, look, the show is very real in itself. We don't know anything about those companies when they come in. Nobody tells us what to say or which deals to do. If you see a shark fight break out, that's real. They just roll the tape and let it happen. And so what you're seeing is actual hustle. These are people who've beat out tens of thousands of other. I think last year they had 40,000 applications to be on that show to get up there, and they get a few minutes in front of the panel, and they got to make the most of it.
I wanted to ask you, you're seeing this real would-be entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs who are looking for money. We've got this weird dichotomy in the country. We've got a billionaire running for president, okay?
Alleged billionaire.
All right, we'll go into that in a sec. But there aren't a lot of business people who are for the guy, and yet he has presented himself as the Uber businessman.
Yeah, so this is what's funny, and please don't associate Donald Trump's name with Uber, okay? Let's just.
Well,
really,
you're right. That was
okay.
Kind of.
But what I think is, as much as people talk about the country being as divided as it's ever been, what we don't talk about is that the business community has never been so unified behind one candidate. You can't find anyone from Silicon Valley to Wall Street who's really willing to come out and support this guy. They are desperate for surrogates to get behind Trump, and they can't find anyone who's actually had genuine success who's willing to stand behind him. That's because he's all smoke and mirrors. We know he doesn't have all the money he claims he has. We know the money he did get, he didn't get through any means you'd be proud to tell your kids and your grandkids you made your money. We know he's probably got it stashed offshore. He doesn't give it away. He only gives away money he takes from other people. He preys upon the less fortunate. He's racist. He's xenophobic. He's sexist. I mean, how long is the show? Do you have?
Well, I know. I mean, I'm not going to represent him being the straw man arguing with it, but I think it's important that you are a very successful venture capitalist, and this is your view on him. And I'm not here to say he's none of those because I can't do that. But I think that your opinion matters.
But even if I came at it from the greed case, so for me as an investor, investing in the tech and commercial and consumer sectors, I really want to see stable capital markets. I want to see low interest rates. I want to see talent be able to come to this country and build their companies here. I want to see availability of capital to go ahead and build up larger investment bases in our companies. I want an IPO market that's open. Right. I want a limited regulatory environment. I want there to be no censorship on the internet. I want broadband to grow, more mobile devices available, particularly in underprivileged communities. I want STEM education to go ahead and fund the next generation engineers. He won't do a single one of those things.
Well, we don't know. Maybe he gets an advisor who says he should. I know.
Well, he hires the best people, but this is usually when you start hiring those people, and I haven't seen any of them show up yet.
All right, fair enough. I want to talk about what you were saying, which is you're painting a picture of meritocracy. And our country is really maybe the only meritocracy left. I mean, is it still happening? Are many of those forces that you just mentioned in play?
Yeah, I mean, there's still a much higher hurdle to clear if you're a woman or if you're a person of color, or if you come from a poor neighborhood and you don't have access to computers or even a good grocery store right now. Right. But we are a beacon for social and economic mobility. That, our chief export used to be, either weapons or entertainment, depending on how you look at it.
That's how people. Yeah. We were soda. Yeah. We were movies, right? Remember when they used to make fun of us?
Yeah. And
what the heck happened? How did it happen?
I think the chief export is the American dream of entrepreneurship now. It's
what changed though?
It's
immigrants.
That's absolutely. If you look at who founded companies around Silicon Valley, if you look at who's behind, started with Intel, but you go all the way up through Google, you're just seeing this is the place you want to build. This is the place that parents came to create a better opportunity for their kids to get access to a truly meritocratic system, raise money and build something. There are still some obstacles here, but it's nowhere near as clubby and as privileged as the rest of the world, and that is what our competitive advantage is. That's why, in spite of all of this mess, I'm an incredibly proud American.
I think that's really important because I think that we're way too cynical. And you're not cynical. I mean, you're a tough guy, but you're not cynical.
Well, in our business, you have to see a path to to the light at the end of the day. But what we see obstacles as are work. We got to hurdle them. We got to just roll up our sleeves. So I do think we have a justice problem right now. I think there's been an imbalance in how people are arrested, prosecuted, treated. And I think video cameras are servicing that now. But that doesn't mean we should just light the whole goddamn country on fire and walk away. Instead, we need to roll up our sleeves and get involved and fix that system.
All right. You're a big fixture in social media. I'm not sure how it necessarily fits in the concept of the enlightenment that you're talking about. I hear people who are emotionally trapped by a stock. And then I read about you in Twitter, and you've got some of those same characteristics as some of our callers.
Oh, yeah, man. I've got a lot of trauma. I got a lot of scar tissue. I mean, look. It's one thing to be a stock trader, and I did that for years, and abused margin limits and found myself on the wrong end of that trade.
And I'm glad you pointed that out because that's how you learn from your mistakes.
Oh God, yeah, millions of dollars and years of indentured servitude to learn from that mistake. But as a venture capitalist, you do need to get emotionally wedded to these companies because you are all in. There's all these cliches about it being a marriage or whatever, but it's what you talk about at the dinner table because it consumes so much of your passion. And so, I don't think most really good VC and early stage investors can be objective about their company sometime. We don't plan for the downside failure. We don't hedge when we invest in a company. We only plan for world domination. Anybody who's shorting it, we don't look at binary outcomes that can. It's just yeah.
Now let's think about Twitter as it is versus what it could be, because you talk about an underachiever. Sure? Well, I just think of it, if I were to be, say, Mark Benioff, I would say, listen, I've got to figure out behavior. There are not many trophy.
You know what? With the beard and the hair, you don't look unlike Mark Benioff. You could get like a little more in the back. Anyway, so it's easier to imagine that. Okay,
I'm not as cool.
Benioff,
I mean, how can Benioff? Why is Benioff so cool? I mean, how can he be cool?
He's got U2 playing his event down the street.
I know. Can you believe that tough ticket?
Text him? Can anyone get him a pass?
That is one darn tough ticket. Okay, let's step away from Twitter, Facebook, Google, Amazon. I don't want to say that that's binary. They can all win, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, Twitter would be complementary to many of those companies. There's no doubt about it. Look, it has a unique set of data that nobody else has in the world, and it has it faster than anybody else in the world. Their problem is not the input. Their problem is making it useful and easy and accessible and fun for all their users. And so the good stuff is in there. There's a lot of junk.
So who buys it?
But
which guy?
I don't know who, but I mean, I can see why Google I think Google has finally flipped a bit from thinking about it as not scientific and computer science enough to, wow, that's the world's best data. And if we don't have that, our search results won't be as relevant anymore. And so I can see Facebook looking at it and saying, we've tried to copy it over and over again, but we need it defensively. We can't let it go to somebody else. Sacca over at Microsoft was the guy who did the first revenue deal with us at Twitter. He understands it well, too. So I don't know about Apple's ambitions because they've never really been good at social and community. So, but Benioff loves it. It might be too expensive for him. I don't know.
Fair enough. We don't know. Fair enough. We don't. We actually don't. All right, that's Chris Sacca, founder and chairman, Lowercase Capital, Shark Tank regular, and just a fun guy to talk to.
Right on.
Booyah! Jim Cramer here from Mad Money. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube. Click here to subscribe and get the jump on my exclusives with CEOs, plus market news, investing advice, and a whole lot more.